Welcome back again, and this time, guys, I am without Jamie again. However, I will say this dude made for one hell of an interview. He's from my world, bodybuilding slash physique, and he is my height, and he is much bigger than I am. So, with that being said, we talk about everything from putting on size, to eating, to prep, and even his history as a baseball player. So enjoy that and stay tuned. Welcome to the next episode of the Hatecast, guys. This is your host, Bryce Allen, and I'm joined by somebody who doesn't look like Jamie at all. In fact, he's someone different. Ryan Skellie, right? Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, sir.
Skellie. Ryan Skellie.
Yep.
So, just to give us a little background, what's your background in athletics? Because you have a pretty interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing multiple sports like everybody. High school basketball, baseball. I played junior Olympic volleyball for a couple of years, and then I wanted to play Division I baseball in college, and then I played minor league ball for a couple of years in Kentucky, which was a great time. But athletic-wise, that's kind of where my career went and got me into training, and then I just kind of continued to go with that aspect of keep me competitive and whatnot. So played at a high level, the professional level, and it was a good time, but it was somewhat short-lived, but it was all in all a great experience, and it's led me to where I am today. So
a little offshoot here. I have a friend, if you're listening to this, Cage, shout out. He was at a scout game or whatever. I don't know how these things work in professional ball. But a scout was there. He was going to be picked up, and what ended up happening is he was a pitcher. He threw the ball, and his bicep just tore right off the bone.
Oh.
Crazy, right? And then he tore it again when he was playing, I think, basketball. So, like at the gym, because
freak injuries happen.
Yeah, and it was a freak injury. It was just, are you a firm believer in you have so many pitches, in you?
Yeah, I do coach at the high school level. They do have like a rule enforced, you can only throw so many pitches, and then have to have X amount of days off. And I really believe that, it's not a natural motion. Anything over the head with it like that, throwing, unless underhand like softball for girls, it's not natural. So there's a really good chance for injury, and like anything, you need to monitor it. Moderation is key. So yeah, I do believe in having the pitch count and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things where his bicep tendon, I guess gave out. But now he has a little weird bicep, or it looks fine, but still shaped a little weird,
Yeah, did it tear off the bone? Was it a complete tear or just?
I think it was a minor tear. It was a tendon.
Those are almost harder to recover. If you tear it completely, you're actually better off tearing them completely for recovery purposes usually.
Yeah, the anchor stuff is getting really good now, right? I mean, people tend to do very well with that.
Yeah.
But injuries aside, so that kind of leads me into this. So what made you quit baseball? Was it just like because you were in the MLB, right?
Yeah, I was in the minor league, so I was still pretty far off from making any good money. People don't realize that unless you are on TV, you don't got a pot to piss in. You're making even the guys in AAA, unless you're on that 40-man roster, you got a big signing bonus. Single A level, you're bringing home, $1,000 a month before taxes. Like AAA, which is like right before the big leagues, it's in like a little over $2,000 or so. But you got to think that's only 5 months out of the year. Like you're only getting paid, while you're playing. So I kind of saw guys who are my age now at 28. Some had kids, or had a wife or whatnot, and it wasn't. I was still pretty young, just out of college. This is my, 20, 22, 23, 24, the years I did it. And it was good then because I was getting a master's in health science and nutrition and coaching. But I knew I wanted to, by the time I was 28, 29, I wanted something more substantial, as in like a
Right.
job, benefits. I just didn't want to be getting paid 5 months out of the year, and then, the other 7 months, I'm working part-time jobs, living at home, hustling, whatever I got to do. So that's kind of why after a couple of years, I just said, okay, I see the light in the tunnel. I'm going to be a realist here. And it was a fun lifestyle. I mean, the travel and stuff was great, but I always try to have like those every 5 years goal set. And it just, it wasn't where I wanted to be by the time I was 30 or so. So I just kind of, I embraced it. I enjoyed it. I made great connections and friendships, but I just knew for the future to be more successful, like I just decided to hang it up when I was a free agent. I had offers, but I was like, nah, I'm just going to finish my education with master's and, move into the next step of my life of what I want to do.
Yeah. So you're kind of in a unique position because usually when people change sports, they're usually something happened,
Yeah. Nope. Yeah.
That's kind of common.
No injury. It is. Yeah. They get like an injury or, it kind of just pushes them away. I had some guys that I played with, though, that do the same thing. They did it for a few, 3 to 4 years, whatever. But usually those who have like the education, who went to college, who didn't get drafted to high school, or, kind of, they're a realist with life. You saw those guys kind of being done, but there were guys who were definitely older who they just kept chasing it. Some I know made it to the big leagues, like a couple out of, hundreds that I played with, but, a lot, I knew one guy who was 26 years old and he was going to be a freshman in college. And I was just like, damn, that would suck, I think. It's not where I'd want to be, being almost in your 30s starting college.
Well, no,
that's tough.
There's one guy I was reading about who actually got into Major League when he was 40. I forget his name now, but, I mean, could you imagine being 40 years old and just starting out your career in something like that? His body's got to be torn up.
Yeah, he had to be beat up. The only good thing is, though, he made it to the big leagues. He's making a minimum $400,000. So if he does it for a couple of years, he'll be okay. But you have to. I just remember, having 8-10 hours in a bus. 2 weeks out of the month, you're on the road. You're in a hotel room. You're out of a suitcase, and I even felt it wearing on my body. And I was in my early to mid 20s, and I even felt it then. Sleeping in different hotel beds and stuff, to where the older you get, I couldn't imagine it being, very comfortable for your body.
And we're kind of from the same world, physique bodybuilding world, and the great thing about that is you have contests that you prep for, and then you can kind of get roots, whereas with a lot of these other sports, I have a family, of course, I have a wife, a daughter, and when it comes down to having roots somewhere, I've always wanted a home, right? We're closing, by the way. At the time that this is uploaded, we will already be in our first residential house, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But with those other sports and stuff like that, with a lot of traveling and all that jazz, they don't really allow for roots. So it's probably a good thing that you kind of, got out when you could. Now you're that leads us on to what you're doing now. You're a teacher.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. I'm teach high school health and phys ed, and then I coach. I live, just out of Charlotte, just like 10 miles north of like downtown Charlotte. It's called Huntersville, North Carolina. But I just tell people, Charlotte. But I've been here for 3 years now, and actually, my girlfriend and I live together, and we're looking at houses too. So, this is home now. So it's kind of I guess like kind of saying that you are getting your roots, being settled in. I've moved so much in my life. It's just like, okay, I like where I'm at. I got a good job. Things are great. It's time to make it home. The rest of my family though is up in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. Like my mom, dad, my whole family's up there. So I've always just kind of been used to being on my own
Yeah.
But I miss them, but not the weather. I don't miss all the snow and all that extra stuff that comes with it.
Hey, you ain't gotta tell me, man. I actually came from a city called Austin, Texas. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah,
anybody knows what Austin, Texas is, but it is the place to be for a lot of stuff. Actually, it's a pretty cool place. It's just it's a little too busy for me. I moved to a little hole in the wall town. Well, not hole in the wall. It's the second largest city in Arkansas, right? But Fort Smith. And that's kind of where I've found, I did have to kind of get used to people not telling me to F off, right? Like, people actually sit there and they nod at you and they wave at you. And I'm like, what? Did I do something wrong?
yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. But that and the Californians were invading Austin. So all my people still there. I feel for you.
Yeah, that's kind of like the South here in Charlotte. I mean, up north, people aren't as prone to open doors or just wave and say hi and stuff. You kind of get that Southern
Yeah.
hospitality a little bit. It's pretty noticeable.
Even though Jamie makes fun of me for it all the time, I do like living in the South. But
Yes.
banjo country or not, it's a great and beautiful place. But that being said, so you're a teacher by day, but when you're off, you're bodybuilding. I guess you're bodybuilding while you're doing that too, because you never miss a meal, right?
Yeah, I mean, luckily with teaching, my schedule and coaching, it works out to where I get all my meals in. It's
Yeah.
actually very easy to get my meals in while I'm working, just because of the way like in the morning, I'm like my first period is my planning, so I can have at 6 o'clock or so have my breakfast, and then I can eat again before I actually start teaching that second block, and then 3 hours later is lunch, and then 2.5, 3 hours later the day's over, so it works out really well to be able to get my meals in, and like my kids I teach, they follow my social media, which I always try to keep professional, and they see me pack it. They know I have my food. They know exactly what I'm eating. It's pretty comical when kids ask what they're eating, and they're like, "Oh, I was just eating the same shit as yesterday." Chicken and rice and the spare, whatever. It's the same meal all the time. And but they know I compete and stuff, and they ask me when I do a show, like how it goes, and they find the fake tan and stuff funny.
Heck yeah.
But they embrace it. They really they follow it along, and it does make my job easier when they know, like, all right, he's got a show in a few days, he's not feeling the best, and they understand now. So it's a good setup for me to be able to still do the bodybuilding lifestyle for a few more years of competing or whatever, how long I decide to do it. But my job allows me the ability to do it, even though it's a lot of work, with coaching as well, long days, but it's a sacrifice. I don't either train or come home after work at 5 and watch TV. I force myself about 90% of the time to force myself to the gym anymore. But it's just a habit now. So
Well, that's the thing too. People who are have trouble finding motivation to go to the gym, like when, like you said, they get home from work or something like that. I find that motivation and willpower are finite resources. You don't have unlimited amount of them, but once something becomes habit, you it kind of affects you. I don't know if that's kind of like a mental thing, but it affects you if you miss the gym. Like, if I don't miss the gym, I am the world's biggest a-hole you could ever imagine. Just because that and the fact that I'm addicted to training. I really do enjoy training, which is ironic. And I don't know if do you know anything about my story?
Not fully. I mean, I listen. Obviously, we've talked with both of us being with Chaos and Pain, and I do listen to the Hatecast and stuff. Usually during my planning period, while I'm grading papers, I throw it on. So not fully though, not 100%.
So I used to be about 430 pounds.
Right, I knew that. I knew you used to be overweight and stuff, and you lost a lot of weight.
Oh, don't be generous. Don't say overweight. I was not overweight. I was
430 pounds. Yeah,
I was fluffy, as Gabriel Iglesias would say. Yeah, I was
a generous fluffy.
A generous fluffy. Yeah, I wasn't quite damn, but hey. But I mean, willpower and motivation is definitely a finite resource. But if you guys make it habit, and anyone who's listening to this right now, you will be successful. And that's why I kind of like asking questions like, you don't miss your meals, do you? Because That's another thing I think people have issues with too, is they severely underestimate the power of stuff like meal prep for
Yep.
time's sake. Especially with busy individuals like you or I, it's kind of necessary, I guess, so to speak. I mean, everybody else sits there and they go to a fast food restaurant. Well, I don't know what your diet consists of, but you follow a macro plan or calories or what? Or
Right now, I mean, I used to use Ted the Diet Coach, and it was always, I had a meal plan, but I had macros, and now I use Cornelius Parkin. He's with Decon Nutrition and Training here in Charlotte. Pretty much, he's been kind of helping me with his off season. We're just really good friends, so we'll shoot ideas back and forth.
Yeah.
In regards to the diet and stuff, and then I never really have force fed, so he taught me some of that. And then right now, I did a 2-week prep for my first show this year, and then 4 weeks till this one coming up. And he's got my diet on point to where, like, I'm not doing, people are surprised that I'm not doing cardio. I just started doing 15 minutes a day a few days ago. But the biggest thing that, he stresses with me is I take X amount of steps a day for my job. So, like, today's a Sunday. This morning I got up at 6:30. I got some shit done, and then I went out and I walked because I know I got to keep that variable the same of my steps, for energy expenditure.
Right.
So he kind of just says, hey, here's your meals, eat this, and that's it. Like, I mean, I can do if I want to, the macros, it's a cup of rice every meal, cup of oatmeal, ground, your steak, ground beef,
Right.
chicken. But he just tells me my meals, and then, like, this morning I went over to the gym. He looked at me before I ate and said, okay, we don't need to change anything. If, we're getting leaner, our weight's staying up.
Right.
So he's helped me out a lot, but I do have, like, people that I work with, like clients and stuff, where I do give an exact meal plan, but then I also have people who like the flexible dieting approach, which I first started doing when I first started competing. So I believe in both methods, but if you want to get inside out shredded, you really want to get peeled, you've got to know what food's exactly going in and going out, how your body digests things, and you can't be too flexible. You can get lean, you can get in shape, but I personally feel if you want to get shredded or really have that look, you've got to keep a lot of variables kind of the same to know how your body reacts,
And I'm glad you brought that up, because some of these things that people don't understand is there is a difference between getting beach ready and show ready.
Right.
It's a completely different world. You have to do different things, and sometimes I know a couple of competitors, like some competitors, and I know this is, an exaggeration or whatever, quote unquote, need 2 hours of cardio just because they want to eat more on their prep, and I know that.
Yeah.
But also there are those competitors that have this full deck of cards, and then they play all of them at once, and usually those guys end up getting beach ready and not show ready. Just like your diet guy, diet coach, or your diet buddy is helping you out with. I mean, it's a deck of playing cards. You play one when you need it, not before.
Right.
Otherwise, you just, playing the entire deck, and you're just putting your cards on the table. I mean, there's so many different. 100%. There's so many different tips and tricks that people can manipulate, and something I actually manipulate when I get down to 233 recently, and we're the same height, by the way, so you've got quite a bit more mass than I do. But I got down to 233 recently, and the pads of my feet started to hurt. I knew it was okay to stop at that point. Like, that's when you're getting lean, right?
Yeah.
Start sleeping on a rib. I mean,
you don't sleep.
Exactly.
Like, you're not sleeping in. I mean, you're waking up a few times a night, and no matter what. I mean, I do take Hypnos from. I will say that's, like, really helped me a lot. This time, and I still get up to take a piss in the middle of the night. That's inevitable. But with that Hypnos, like, I take a piss and then I'm back to bed. I'm not then awake on my phone wanting to eat. It keeps me, like, zombie mode. So, like, in that regard, I'm it's not an infomercial. Like, that's a product that, like, I noticed this time dieting that I didn't have in the past. It's really it's helped me get a little bit better sleep, because when you are dieting, as you know, you're hungry, and people know different supplements that you take and whatnot as well. Sleep, sometimes, like, it affects your sleep a lot.
Yeah.
That's a good product, because I've tried before, just the melatonin and the zinc or whatever, the ZMA stuff, and it didn't really work. But there's certainly like the GABA in there and stuff like that. It just helps me stay more restful, and that's huge in prep. You need to not having that sleep it really affects your physique and your appetite and how you metabolize food. X, Y, and Z.
And not only that, but mental clarity, which is something that I kind of hold dear. If you don't get enough sleep, you literally can be drunk. I mean,
yes.
It's crazy. Now, I'm sure before you in some of your preps, you got about 4 hours sleep, like I do sometimes.
Yeah, I would wake up at 4:30. It's funny, when I was off season and I'm force feeding, to where like I'm eating meals where I'm like dry heaving, to try to get my weight up, because as you know, being taller, a lot of frame to fill out, and with my job on my feet all day, I got to like 273, and I was eating like a pint of ice cream a night before bed. After my 6 meals, I was eating and like just nauseous, and it makes dieting easier, because I much rather be hungry. But like the aspect of I could sleep forever, it was hard to wake up. When you diet, like you're saying, you get that lean. When you're lean, you get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and like you're up.
It's because your body's just fighting against you. You know?
Yep. And you wake up so hungry, you're nauseous, and then you start relying on stimulants and certain other things as well, and it doesn't give you that mental clarity though of being actually like well rested, and what it really does for your mind, and like staying focused. And when you diet down, like shit, I make a list now. Like when I go to the grocery store, I write it down, because if not, damn, I forgot that. I gotta go back. It's easy.
Hey, I gotta go back and get what was it? Fish today, I think. So,
yeah, you don't. It's just if you are actually lean, if you are actually dieting hard, those things happen. And that's where certain aids or supplements they come into play to help with whatever aspect that you need. But the sleep is by far it's huge for us.
And recovery while you're in prep too is something that it's a teeter-totter, because I feel like whenever you stall in weight gain, whether it's because I don't know if you want to go over this or not, but water and sodium is something that people really should pay more close attention to. Not necessarily manipulating it, but making sure there's a consistent amount, because you do have certain hormones like aldosterone and stuff like that kind of say, I'm gonna retain water. It's gonna play with your scale weight, okay? Mm-hmm. That's because you've been drinking 3 gallons and having no sodium.
Right, and that's what people don't realize. That is they think, oh, well, I'm gonna cut out sodium, and I'm just like, what the why? Like if you're depleting, you're cutting out your carbs, so you're cutting out your sodium. How are you going to hold water into the muscle to help with recovery, to get somewhat of a pump if you can, to avoid cramping, to keep the muscle hydrated? People, they cut out sodium when in all reality, you need it. Now, I will say, with the guy I'm working with, Cornelius, for the first time, like when I did this last show, I cut out sodium for 2 days. Right. Now, I added in carbs, I did a water load, but I cut out sodium Wednesday and Thursday, and I started to drop. I dropped a little bit of weight, so I knew I could make weight. But now, Friday, once I made the weight, then we start adding sodium in while you add the carbs in, but you take the water out. But I was drinking. I think I drank on Friday. I had a gallon of water down before 1 o'clock. So, I don't. These people who say they cut water out 2 days before, people don't realize like your body can go 30 to 40 days without food, and you'll survive. But 3 days without water, you won't die. But internally, like your kidneys, your other organs, they will start to shut down. Like you need water. So these people are like, oh, I'm so badass and hardcore. I had fucking water 2 days, no sodium. Your physique's gonna look like shit.
Not
like
only
you're
that,
gonna look so and just and mentally, like, you are just gonna be like that.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, your faculties go.
Right.
Your function, the way you function as a human being, kind of suffers when you do that. When you do drastic things like that. That's why, if you're cutting it for like a Saturday show, right? A day or two before you cut the sodium, and then you do the water load, and then you do the carb load. I mean, there's a reason these things are done like that. Now, there is a couple different myths going around. Like, you hear these people drinking a cap full of water every couple of hours before a show, and they think that that's done for like a week. But no, that's not.
It's done for a few hours. I mean, it's not healthy. I will say the old coach I had, different approach. His name's Tad, the diet coach, and I mean, we're still great friends. We actually became very good friends, not just coach athlete after a while. But I did Team U. The last show I did was Team Universe, and I was doing, probably the last month, I was doing a double cardio, 45 minutes a day, and training. So I was up at 4:15, do my cardio, work all day, coach, train, cardio. Got to the point where, like, a week or two out, I'm doing cardio, and my girlfriend looks at me, and she's like, "Are you crying?" And it was like 20 minutes in, and I'm like, just give me a minute, because it just, like, hurt so bad. You'd have those moments where it's like, all right, just get through a minute or two, and then you'll be straight. But I was peeled. I mean, my legs were set. I did men's physique then, but my legs and stuff were shredded. I had veins in my core 4 weeks out. But with him, I carb loaded for 4 days straight because I was depleted on 1,000 carbs with potato, rice, Pop-Tarts, and people at like Team Miller, like, they're all butthurt, and I'm walking out with 4 Pop-Tarts, potatoes, and I'm like, well, I'm 6'4", 230 at that time, 225.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I depleted so hard all this cardio to where we had a bunch of carbs in, and I actually was adding at that point, like the night before, the morning of, like, I was having sodium. I was eating pickles. I was having high sodium. I drank,
all the
like,
good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was still having water. I had like a liter of water like that Friday night. But it worked out perfect to where, I see people, I'm going to eat all these pancakes and shit, Saturday morning, and they get bloated. Their digestion is absolutely fucked because they're not used to that kind of food.
Oh, yeah.
And they're filling out, when in all reality, your goal should be to fill out the night before.
Well, you know why they get distended and stuff like that, right? It has to do with your gut biome.
Right.
It has to do with you not eating those foods, so the probiotics and prebiotics, the little community of gut microbes down there don't know how to handle pancakes. I mean, it's crazy. It's but it's one of those things where, and if you go to like a show like Mr. Olympia and stuff like that, you see the day after, all of the restaurants nearby, like Denny's, IHOP, all that stuff, completely full with bros.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And it's hilarious to see them the day after because their abs are just gone. Their abs are gone. They take 4 weeks off of training and then they do it all over again. It is, and for them, that is the most, like, you have been stage lean before. I've been stage lean once before, okay? I got down to, but it wasn't a stage lean with muscle. It was when I first started losing weight. I got down to about 177, and I was paper thin skin, all that stuff.
Shit.
The problem with it, though, is I started from 430, and I had no muscle, right?
Right.
So now I'm sitting at around 239 as of this morning, so about to have to up calories, but when it comes down to it, when you get that lean, when you eat in excess, that is the best meal you have ever had. Oh,
man. There'd be times, like, if I knew the next morning, I'll never forget, actually, at TMU, I told my girlfriend, like, all right, when we get up in the morning, like, you put up all my bullshit suffering, we're going to get pancakes for normal. I go see my coach at the time. He's like, 4 ounces of chicken. Go home, go back to the hotel, go to sleep. Take your blood sugar. I would do the glucose monitor an hour after a meal, and to let me know if I could handle more carbs, something like that. And I text him back, and I was out cold. My girlfriend, she pricked my finger, and I didn't wake up. And then he's like, okay, well, you're going to eat, it was like a rice cake, sweet potato, pickle. I didn't get the pancakes and stuff. Now, I did a show the following weekend, a regional show, and that morning he's like, it was a 2-day show, so what's done was done for Saturday morning, or Sunday morning, and he goes, I go eat pancakes and stuff, and I did, because at that point I was like, okay, prejudging's done, it doesn't matter, they're not going to change anything. It's men's physique regional show, they're not rejudging, and I had the pancakes, and oh man, my stomach, just from like the sugars and the sweeteners and all the excess food you're not used to eating for how many 12 weeks or whatever. I mean, it just made me feel terrible. And you see people, I love it when they after a show, they wake up. Oh, I'm so vascular, hard and dry.
Exactly.
I ate all this junk food.
Yeah.
I should have done this the night before. It's like, but do you really look better? Like, are you aesthetically still pleasing, or is your gut a little bit more like? Your gut's probably you're bloated by an inch, but you don't see it because you see the veins and stuff. Where if you hopped on stage, you wouldn't look as good as the day before.
Oh no, I could guarantee it. And your body is so ready for calories at that point. It is in storage mode like you wouldn't believe, and a lot of people get kind of the ball rolling on fat gain, and we can kind of talk about that because you actually said something about this in your most recent Instagram. Some people start the ball rolling on like off-season fat gain when they come up off a show. They, just except for Juan Morel, he can go eat his Ben and Jerry's and do all that stuff and like have his 20,000 calories. You can do that. Fine, Juan Morel. You know what? You want to rub that in everyone's faces? I hate you. But with that being said, some people that just works for. But Juan Morel is kind of the exception to the rule, So most people,
he's genetically not normal.
Oh man. But I fucking love his videos. I love them.
Yeah.
His little cheat meal videos. Anyway, but when it comes down to it, they start the ball fat, or they start the snowball effect of gaining fat in their off season the day after the show, because they don't just limit it to a day, or they don't just limit it to a meal. They go crazy. It's almost like you've been through some sort of boot camp, and you're just ready for it to end. Some people don't realize the amount of dedication it takes in order to get lean.
Yep.
So,
and the big thing too is after a show, whether people I'm not a fan of them. I don't believe in them. I have used them like sparingly a couple times. I don't think they work. Like people, they think last resort like using diuretics, whether it's over the counter or from a pharmacy or underground, whatever. And people, with my old coach, we never used them. I look great. I'm not using them now. I did use them last year with the guy who was helping me, and my look just wasn't good. It can ruin you very, very quickly. And people, they use them, and then the next day, they're like, wow, my ankle's swollen. Why do I feel like shit? Why am I holding water? But they'll, like you said, they'll binge eat 3 or 4 days, and you see the post, oh, I'm up 25 pounds. I'm up 30 pounds. And people are like, you're putting so much strain on your heart, your kidneys, putting on that weight, and also you're starting the fat loss or fat gain process, because also, too, at that point, if you're not smart, you've cut out, certain supplements and whatnot, and you're now, you're really just setting yourself for epic failure, and I've been there. I put on the water weight and be like, wow, why are my legs swollen? Because you're driving or flying back. But now, I realized what I do is after a show, whether you're using diuretic or not, I go no sodium the next day, because you've ate the night before, your cravings should be gone if you actually live the lifestyle and you're not doing it to be Instagram famous or post everyone I'm 12 days out like people give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I hate that shit. And I was guilty when I first started competing, but now I don't post prep life or 8 days out, the grind. I just if you're prepping, you should just do it because you like to do it. But people, they come off of that prep and they eat whatever they want. And I've tell people that I help, cut the sodium out, keep the carbs down to, if you can, nothing the day after, that night, like say the show's Saturday, Sunday night, go out with whoever if you're friends or family, whatever, have a meal, and then you go Monday again. Little no sodium, no carbs for like 3 or 4 days. That allows you to have a bite of that cookie, have a little snack here or there, or still go out those 4 days after the show and at least go out to dinner. But when you're going no carb and low sodium all day, it avoids the crazy water rebound, the fat rebound, because your calories will still be low. Because even if you go out to dinner, if you're eating just a meal and you're not binging, it won't be that crazy. And keeping the cardio up. If I'm doing cardio, I tell people, you're going to need to do cardio for the first 3 to 4 weeks after the show. If you were doing, like, say, an hour and a half, like 2 45-minute sessions, right? After the show, that first week, you got to keep, 45 minutes fasted and try to do 30 minutes, 25 minutes post-workout. The second week, all right, just do fasted. The third week, now just 30 minutes fasted, or you can do post-workout, but keep the cardio still in there a little bit. Don't just stop it all cold turkey, because you're going to get fat as shit. And I've done it where you feel so terrible, like just lethargic. Your digestion is completely effed. You're going to the bathroom uncontrollably, and people don't get it. And it's like, then it makes me wonder too, who the fuck is your coach? They just, like, the show's over. You get these coaches, the show's over. All right, see you later. And they don't help them after which really, post-show is more important than, I think, than your little peak week, which isn't a miracle week, people think. And it's more important than your prep, because that's setting you up for your metabolism and your metabolic rate for the off season to grow, eat more food, stay leaner, so your next prep is easier than the first time. And that's how people are like, how are you doing no cardio? Well, after 4 years of doing this, I stay leaner off season to where it allows me not to have to kill myself, as much anymore. It's just, you see these social media coaches and these people who just do it for the overcharge, who will do it for the money, and it's probably why I teach. I get paid shit. I do it because I care. And it's funny. People do, I do a show, I'm a prep coach now, and they have no knowledge, and they end up just destroying people's bodies. It's terrible.
Yeah, they do one show, they place last, and then they're a prep coach now.
No, they got third. They got third out of 3 guys. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's I did super heavyweights 2 weeks ago, and I could have posted. I got third in supers. There was only 3 guys. Now, I was 6'4", 245, 250 on stage, and it was my first time ever doing bodybuilding. I did it for fun. Didn't care. I was there. And the 2 guys I competed against were like 5'9", 225. I looked like an ogre. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to win. But
well, that is a disadvantage, except for in super heavyweight bodybuilding. I mean, that's one thing you and I mean, I don't know if you remember who this is, but Marcus Rawl.
Yeah.
Or, Or Greg Kovacs.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
They were 2 big guys,
Yeah.
Greg was over, he was 6'5". He was our height.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was about 6'3", 6'4", around there, and he was well over 300 pounds in the offseason.
And he always loved the fact that he had rear delts that would make the girls melt.
Yeah.
So, but with that being said, to go harken back to the fat gain and stuff, and a lot of people don't realize, too, is your body may not be used to all the fiber that you intake.
Yeah.
When you're coming up off of a show, too, because, fiber in and of itself is a good thing for you to have, but when it comes to in prep, you usually want foods that are easily digestible. You want foods that aren't going to sit around for a while and be, that's why rice, chicken, broccoli, stuff like that is used because it moves through you quickly. And I don't know about you, but I've done 3 or 4 different big cheat meals this last time I cut, just because I wanted to see how far I could push it, because I have a appetite regulation problem. The answer is I can push it a lot.
Yeah.
But the fiber amount had me blocked up, like, not to get too graphic, but blocked up for a long time, because either it works in 2 ways in people usually. either fiber makes everything just, waterfall, or
Yeah.
fiber turns into clay and it just
Yep.
backs you up. So I'm the backup type.
I think everyone's experienced that. I mean, I know with Chaos and Pain, we don't have a fiber product yet, but like I recently started using like the Fiberlize from Species. Because Metamucil, because Metamucil was but like I don't need breakfast right when I wake up, so I'll wake up and I will do the apple cider vinegar, lemon water, and I'll do a scoop of the Fiberlize to get that fiber in me. I only do it in the morning because then I will have oatmeal later, which has fiber. But
right,
it's people don't realize it. Like you said, too much fiber actually works counteractive, and it can make you constipated and back you up and make you bloated. My appetite too. When my old coach, you eat a cheat meal, shit, I would eat and I would be laying on the floor. I eat a bag of chips, a large pizza, ice cream, and I couldn't sleep. The next day, I was like you. It was either I went to the bathroom 8 times or not at all. Yeah. And I think you're also like when you don't have dairy and stuff in your diet frequently, and you have the dairy and stuff, that kind of messed me up a little bit. Not that it made me lactose intolerant, but you have those huge cheat meals, and it still works for me. Like the next day, I was stupid. If you have a cheat meal, the next day, you should be ravishingly hungry when you wake up. Your body temp should be up. You should be starving. If you're not, then your body didn't need that cheat meal or that refeed, and your metabolism isn't where you think it is.
I'll say this about that. Sorry to interrupt, but I'll say this.
Oh, no.
There's another way to, like, if you've eaten way too much on your cheat meal, you will find that you're almost food drunk the next day. So you watch out for that too.
I've been there. You just feel,
yeah,
you're just there's no caffeine in the world. I can take pre-workout to the face twice, and you're tired. You're in a haze. You're just. I've been there, and I've done that, and nothing helps you. And that's kind of how you know. Okay, my digestion sucks. I'm tired. I'm lethargic. That was a little too much food. My body is not breaking it down,
right,
accordingly.
Well, it's a lot of stress for your kidneys and liver too.
It is. Yep. That's how you get and I would. For me. I have the cheat meal. The next day we have the same weight. If I had it on Saturday night, Monday, I'd be up like 3 or 4 pounds because then the water hold would start coming. And people don't realize that either. So, you got to listen to your body on those. And if you have a cheat meal, especially if you're dieting and your variety of food is not broad, you need to be smart with what you're going to eat because it won't work the way it needs to, and it can make you feel actually it can make you feel a lot worse. But you said the big thing too is, I've focused a lot on gut health this year, more on the kidneys, liver. So like with the FN line we have on the side of Chaos and Pain, I've been using the cycle support, the Tugka, been more religious with that stuff, and I've noticed a big improvement with my physique, how I feel. People don't realize if your kidneys and livers and stuff are not properly functioning, you are physically going to feel that, So
no shit.
Yeah,
but
people are oblivious.
yeah, and I mean, again, guys, us both coming from the physique world, and I'm still trying to get used to, and I know you never quite do get used to getting that lean. But I'm still trying to get used to, because I'm a baby bodybuilder, right? I haven't competed yet. I'm going to in 2020. I need about 40 to 50 more pounds on me. But, I'm a little baby bodybuilder. I've gotten lean like that a couple different times, semi-lean. And by the way, I mean a little bit further than beach body ready.
Yeah. You get down to single-digit body fat.
Because it's different. It is a different world. Is. Now, if you're above 10%, I think that refeeds would be more in your, like a smaller cheat if you need it, right?
And it's more, at that point, it's more for mental clarity.
Right.
It's not really...
And mental
it's
health.
Not gonna, yeah, a lot of people, they have cheat meals, honestly, coaches give it to them because they're not mentally tough enough just to stay the course. And, dude, I struggle with it. I mean, my girlfriend's not prepping right now, so, we've got, Cheez-Its or Pop-Tarts, this and that. Like, actually, some of it's still mine from my off-season. And it's hard not to want to just hammer the whole box or, eat it and stuff like that. And so people get those cheat meals, and some people, they say, I can't have a cheat meal because then I'll go off the rails.
Yeah.
And for me, when I always had them, one, it worked the way it did. With my old coach, I'd have cheat meals 3 weeks out. But like you said before, I was killing cardio the last month, to offset that. But it kept me to where, like, Sunday, I was like, okay, right back to my diet. I had I don't have an addictive personality.
Right.
Like, when I played baseball, I would dip all the time. I do when I'm prepping a little bit. But, like, when baseball season ended, I would quit dipping or doing chew. Like, no problem.
Right.
So, like, out of that cheat meal, the next day I would feel tired, hungry, body temp be up. But, like, it was like, okay, and I'm right back. I'm locked in. A lot of people, and I think that's where being an athlete comes into play. You have that competitive edge where if you're an average Joe, or I shouldn't say average Joe, but if you're a person who wasn't an athlete and you get into competing, whether it's for a bucket list or you just want to do it, you're not used to that competitive edge of having that mental fortitude to stay. Because, like you said, when you get lean, I mean, I've been down to 5% on the DEXA scan this past year, and I was even more shredded the year before, to where nothing made me feel. I feel like shit, and I was probably honestly 4.5%. If you look at pictures, and I mean that's on a DEXA scan. That's not just someone taking calipers. If people know what
that's not an estimate either. Like everybody on Instagram.
I'm 8%. It's like you don't even have visible abs. That is not 8%. Or they say that's 6%. And it's like your glutes aren't striated. That's not 5 or 6% body fat. Right. You can't see your glute ham tie-in. You're not as low as you think. Your coach with the caliper, the machine you hold onto, is full of shit. A DEXA scan or doing like the underwater testing, those are anywhere from 95 to 100% accurate. And I mean, I now knowing what that looks like, the coach I have, like I said, he gets his caliper within about 0.5% of the DEXA. Very, very good at it. But no matter who you are, when you get that lean, though, there's only so much skin to grab. But yes, like you said, when you get down to like legit 5%, there is nothing in the world that's going to make you feel normal or feel good. Like, I mean, it's just like you said, no matter how many times you do it, you're always going to kind of feel like shit. Like the human body's not made to get down that low for a very long time.
And that's, I know, and we're gonna switch topics here onto bulking, because you actually gained what is it, something like 40 pounds from one photo I saw.
Yeah, I went from I competed this year. I was around 235 on stage, and this year, like off season, the heaviest I got was like 273 or so.
Okay.
And then I did do a mini diet just to resynthesize myself, and I maintained between 265 to 268 the entire year almost.
So that's pretty much what I would consider your weight,
Right. I was walking
at
on
it objectively.
265.
Yeah.
But, but we can get into that when, we continue.
That's 30 pounds, man, and you managed to stay pretty lean, and I think that's something that people, I right now with the size that I need to get, I'm going to have to get a little bit tubby. I know that. I mean,
I'm going to have to too. Like, that's the game plan. Is this year, after this show June 2nd, I'm going to give my body a complete break for a month. I'll train, but really give my body a complete break. Make sure I'm healthy and stuff, and then. The goal is, this year was supposed to be a full year off, but I did a keto diet for a week, and I was like 258 at 8% body fat.
Nice.
And classic physique cutoff was 245. So for 2 weeks, I went just protein and veggies, made weight, and got down to like, probably 6.5%. Not shredded, but looked good enough to be on stage.
Right.
But when I was 270, like I still had visible abs, Or when I was even when I was walking around at 265, like I had abs, I still was vascular. But when you're 6'4", I mean, Chris, it's not impressive. Like 260 is not impressive when you're 6'4".
No,
Like
280, 320.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You tell people, what do you weigh? I'm like 265. They're like, God damn, like, but I look 220 because I'm 6'4" with a wingspan of 6'6". Like,
Yeah.
you know.
And buying shirts, forget about it. Oh my God.
Yeah, everything now is a double X or triple X.
Yeah, I'm 2X
I can
now
fit
too.
in. I can fit in an extra large now because I'm down to 245 or 240 something around there, 246. But it's tight. I don't like wearing tight clothes. I'm not one of those guys anymore. When I was a kid, but now I try to cover up. You know, I like wearing looser clothes. It's not comfortable to be wearing tight clothes. The bigger you get.
Yeah, I've always dressed like they did back in the 90s and 80s, how they went to the gym. Like, everything's loose, baggy, and gives me plenty of, I guess it doesn't restrict it keeps me warm, too, you know, which,
Yeah.
you know, when we're, you know, it's a pretty good thing for us to cover. So, like, when you're 6'5", you know, if you're over 6 foot, actually, you know, knee problems, hip problems, and lower back problems are going to be pretty much your wheelhouse at some point in your life, generally,
Yep.
just because of the statistics.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing movements and stuff while not having a proper warm-up can exacerbate that. Or not being warm. Because, you know, the study we have on warm-ups is actually, I don't know if you knew this, but based on rectal temperature. So, like a few degrees in rectal temperature higher, and you're less likely to injure yourself. So,
Oh, it's good to know. I'll make sure my ass is warm from now on.
hey, you know what? I mean, whatever works.
Hey,
Well,
that's what you gotta do. I mean, hell.
Could you just imagine being part of that study? It's like,
Oh.
yeah, how do we measure someone's temperature increase? Oh,
Stick
I
a
know.
rod up
We'll
your
stick
ass
a thermometer up their butt.
Yeah.
It's
And
fine.
it's not a one you put under your tongue either, I'm sure.
Oh, wait, we bought the one you put under your tongue. Our bad.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how they, but it is true. Whenever you are warmer, you tend to get injured less. So I would kind of use that as a cautionary tale to everybody, because I used to go into the gym and just go into my sets, like completely go just off, you know, and
Yep.
I ended up, you know, pulling some things and straining some things, and mind you, I'm sure everybody's been through that. I mean, going through prep, have you ever strained anything or pulled anything?
Yeah. I mean, I'll have my strains here and there, little tweaks, but like for me, it's like my hips,
Yeah,
my back. So it's stuff where I have a lacrosse ball I roll out on. I got a chiropractor I go to frequently. I do spend a little more time now when I do legs and stuff, really warming up my glutes, my hips. I don't squat anymore. When I was playing baseball and stuff, I mean, I squatted 600, and I had a fat ass and no quads. So, to me, being taller.
Well, glutes for the sloots. So
Right, yeah. I mean, if squatting, if you're like Jordan Peters was mentioned the other day, he doesn't squat. It's very hard to actually truly activate your quads unless you're mechanically developed to squat perfectly like that. You see, like a lot of females actually, because the way their hips are set up, well, they can squat and they activate their quads. But you get a lot of men where your hips aren't as wide or your flexibility isn't there. For me, like you're going to hit a lot more glute, a lot more lower back. They say it can make your core more distended. So I haven't squatted anywhere above 315 in the last 2 years. My legs are this off season got like 30 inches.
That's nice.
It was the biggest they were. Right now they're feathered, and I think they're like 28 and a half. But I had a quad injury. I had knee problems, so I was kind of staying away from quad stuff for a little bit, for a couple months, just doing hamstrings. But, hack squat for a bigger guy, taller guys is very crucial for building size. Leg press.
Yeah, I was
lunges,
just going to mention that too.
And foot placement on those. It does make a difference, because when you're 6'4", you got tall legs. I mean, people are like, holy shit, your quads are 30 inches. It's like, but they're so long, it doesn't look that impressive, So I try to reiterate it to people.
And that's kind of the reason that I'm glad that you kind of put on some weight, because for every 1 pound that looks good on a 5'5" guy, we have to gain 4 or 5.
Right.
And that's kilogram weight gain for those of you
Yep.
in the UK. That's a lot of extra poundage, for your heart to pump blood into, and your kidneys and liver and all that stuff. Like it's not. I'm never going to use it as an excuse, because I fucking love training, and there's nothing in the world more than I love than getting under the bar, right? But at the same time, it is a little bit harder for taller guys, and sometimes you have to find creative ways, just like your pullover variation that you posted.
Mm-hmm.
That is fantastic. I tried it out, so I kind of stole that from you.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, and because one of the things I'm most proud about is being able to do weighted pull-ups, because a lot of tall guys say, I don't do pull-ups. I don't do pull-ups. They're too hard, or there's no bar that fits me. Because finding a pull-up bar, by the way, gym owners, if you're listening out there, for taller guys, please get the ones that. I mean, I know some people are going to have to use a step stool to get up there, but come on, please. But yeah, I just love doing weighted pull-ups, because no tall guy does it, because they're hard. Range of motion is an issue.
Yep.
People give
and
me
if you have
crap.
shoulder problems too, I mean, if you had shoulder, I have a torn. My left shoulder labrum's torn. My right rotator from baseball, but I still try to do them. I just don't go super wide.
Yeah,
Because then the wider you go, you're gonna hit the front delt and stuff, and your cause shoulder problems. But there's no need to go super wide. You can go just outside the shoulder width where the bar kind of bends, and you're still going to activate your lats to squeeze for width. You don't have to go way out, because then you are going to tear something.
Now, that's just something I enjoy, though. I will say that for bodybuilding purposes, there's no exercise that you need to do. Like, it's a cool thing, right? Because bodybuilding is one of those things where bodybuilding in the physique type of look, right? I mean, I know plenty of guys who don't do pull-ups, and all they do is do rows, right?
Yeah.
And they have fantastic backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know plenty of guys who do not barbell bench press. All they do is dumbbell bench press.
I'm one of those guys. I rarely will barbell bench anymore.
Yeah. But they have fantastic chest, because that's what works for them. I mean, it's if people have not tried high rep, like I'm talking 20 rep squeeze work, you're severely missing out. Especially if you're in a plateau or something like that, you're hitting a wall. Also, work your rear delts more, but we've already went over that in another podcast. But with that being said, you've gained 30 pounds, and so how did you go about doing that? I mean, what was that like for you?
I mean, the biggest thing was, with like I said, the guy I use now, my coach, good friend, Cornelius. He kind of, I mean, he's from the UK. He's from Ireland. I say the UK, that area, until he was like 20. So he has just that. Doesn't have that American attitude. He's pretty, when he trains, like, get the fuck out of the way kind of thing, like, it's on, and he got me back to that mentality of, like, training and train hard. These people will say, I work out 6-7 days a week. I say, bullshit. There is no way. I used to do it. I used to lift 6 days a week, and I trained like a puss. That's why I could recover. But with this year, I think we would do 2 days on, 1 day off. I tried to do 3 days on, 1 day off with the program he made, but it was very intense to where, like, my central nervous system, after, like, he said don't do it for more than 2-3 weeks. Well, I did it for like 4 or 5, and my central nervous system, where my muscles weren't shot, but, like, I lost all motivation to train, didn't want to get up, and I killed my central nervous system. So I trained 4 days a week, but when I trained, like, it was a push-pull leg type of deal, kind of split, but it was, I would do some heavier compound lifts at the beginning, and then I would do like 2 compound lifts, heavy weight, lower to moderate rep. and then I might do 2 exercises, more isolation with moderate reps of like 6 to 10, and then I would finish off with pump stuff at the 12 to 15. And the less volume I did, it just focused more on getting in, training balls to the wall. I mean, if you threw up, whatever, get in there, get out, get home, eat, recover. And it gave my body more time to recover and rest. But you have to train hard for that to work. If
There's
you're not
two
going in
guys. There's 2 guys that I know of that have used exactly that. Everybody. I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but everybody wants to be Ronnie Coleman that goes in there and trains 6 days a week and does this crap ton of volume and stuff like that. But Ronnie is another beast entirely. But at the same time, for some people that works. For other people, like I don't know if anybody knows, but Dave Palumbo and Dorian Yates, they use lower volume, more intense sets. Kind of like going in there doing 3 sets or 4 sets or 5 sets or whatever, doing low reps, and then doing exactly what you said, pump work. And for them, Dave Palumbo still goes on about how that worked for him. And Dorian Yates does the same thing too. And this was the dude that brought the mass to bodybuilding.
He did, and using very little, unlike nowadays, in that regard. And the training the program that he developed, that Cornelius developed for me, like I don't get anxiety, but I would get anxiety before I would go to the gym. Like on the way there, I'd be nervous because I knew what was about to take place. Yeah, there was not going to be enjoyable. Like an example. It was, people think, oh, you're doing chest and back in the same day. That's fun. I'm like, that was worse than me doing legs. I would do an incline bench, 4 sets of 10 to 8 to 12, as heavy as you could, so you had some spot in you. But I would do incline bench, usually barbell because just how it progresses. But I would do barbell bench, and then I would go right over, and I would do rack pulls, 4 sets, 8 to 12. Superset. And then I would take a 2-minute break because by then one set in you're crushed because you're benching. Got up to it was incline 315 for 8 by my last set, and I was rack pulling 405 for 10, and you take a 2-minute break, and after you do your 4th set though on incline, then you've got a drop set. To 50% of the weight, and then you have 2 rest pauses. So you do 10 reps, 10-second rest pause, or as many reps as you could, a 10-second racket, 10-second rest pause, and then another set. Then you would catch your breath, you walk over, you do the same thing to finish off the rack pulls. By then, you're shot. That was your 2 heavy compound lifts, superset with drop sets, and my body I would be destroyed. Yeah, and then I would go to the isolation stuff, and that's how I got a lot more back thickness. And I try to do that too frequently, and that's what caught up to me. So then we just said, okay, really, I started lifting like every other day, because no matter what you're taking, how much food you're eating, if you really train hard, you need the Dorian Yates, Dave Palumbo approach. There needs to be more recovery, and with my job on my feet all day. And the last thing I think about being a taller, bigger guy. I just think, you don't have more muscle fibers, but your muscles are longer. Genetics, you also have more bone. Genetics, more bone, yep. So and genetics too. Everyone's genetics are different in recovery. But that's just how I put on a good amount of size. I'm about 10 pounds heavier on stage this year. Once again, I put on 8 to 10 pounds every year. I've been competing and dieting since I started men's physique at 213.
All right, my first show. Grimes. Come on.
Yeah, I started men's physique because I was like, okay, to be a bodybuilder, I'm not willing to do what it takes in that regard yet. And every year, I added 8 to 10 pounds. And this year, the show I does on stage at 245. And it's just a process of taking it, slow and being as healthy as you can and you gotta train. You gotta figure out what works for your body. And I'm finally figuring out it takes a shit ton of food, and it takes less volume and some heavier weight for like compound movements. And the only thing is too, like you said, though, being taller, I noticed I had to work on my hips, my lower back was getting a little more beat up, so I had to do some more, stability work and working more on my flexibility to avoid those injuries being tall.
Right. And just to remind you guys, again, this is a different world than powerlifting, strongman, all that stuff. We don't care what's on the bar. We care about our body, bro. You know, it is a different world, and you train a little bit differently. And when it comes down to it, powerlifting, all you care about is squat, bench, deadlift, right?
And just pulling heavy-ass weight. Yep.
Right. In bodybuilding, you care about the squeeze, you care about the aesthetics of it. And when it comes down to it, 315 on the incline, by the way, is not something to laugh at. That is some heavy weight. 405 rack pulls, that is some heavy weight. And heavy weight, the correct volume for you, which, by the way, if you ever experimented, I know you have a coach and everything, but have you ever experimented with different volume schemes? Because some people respond to higher volume and some people respond to lower. But most of the time, I feel like this Instagram generation of, got to have all these variants. Like, somebody goes in there, they do flat bench, then they do incline, then they do decline, then they do flies, then they do push-ups, and then they finish out with dips. And then they're complaining about how their shoulder hurts. You know, where they have 5 or 6 different variations of the same thing worked. I mean, with the lower... Go ahead.
I would just say I don't... I think I used to do today's chest day. Today's shoulders. But these last year and a half, 2 years... I do have a coach, but I also do my own training, and we do mix it up a lot. But I now am doing two body. I believe in chest, shoulder, arms. Yeah. Then I do legs, and then I do just a back day because back's a high larger muscle. I do tend to do a few more sets for that, but still heavy. But for my arms, because of some elbow issues, I don't go heavy. I've done more research. I feel like I do some inclusion training now. And I do try to get more blood in there and squeeze and, doing 12 to 15 reps, not skull crusher. Right, not doing skull crushers with, 245s on each side for 6 reps and why the hell my elbows hurt? Well, there's no point. So depending on the body part, I do have variation, but yes, I don't, when it comes to chest, for example, I will go from a pressing movement to a stretching back to a pressing, so I might go incline, then I might go to a cable fly, then I might go to a flat dumbbell bench. But it's only 4. I'm not doing 8 exercises.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. I mean, somebody goes in there and they squat, and then they do lunges, and then they do leg press, and then they do. Some people just can't really recover from that. And those are the kind of people that always tend to look the same. Just a little bit different, but always the same, because let's face it, if you're lifting weight and you progressively go up, you're going to gain some size, but they look similar year to year. And, those people, I would suggest concentrating on finding the right volume scheme that works for you. Because, I know Jamie's not a believer in overtraining, but he is, but he's not. I will ask him about that to kind of clarify. But I do truly believe that you can do too much to the point where you can't recover from it. And that's just from personal anecdotal experience.
Exactly. And I thought the same thing, you could overtrain until I experienced it. And then I was like, oh, Christ. Okay.
Especially when you're dieting. It's extremely easy.
Yes.
So
people don't, until you experience it, you don't realize it, and you're like, okay, so this is how I know. I have no motivation to do anything. If you ever get to that point, you'll know. You don't need anyone to tell you. You'll experience it.
There was one time where I kind of pushed my back so far that I had to, and I'm not joking here, guys, use a weightlifting belt. I had to scream at my wife, say, go get the belt, to get out of bed to use the bathroom in the middle of the night. I had pushed it that far, and my lats were just completely trashed for my lats and my rhomboids were completely trashed for I'd say 3 or 4 days, and it was because of that exactly. And you know, I've tried every different little trick in the book in order to gain size and all that stuff, and I think I'm finally coming around to the truth. You know, I used to go into the gym 5 days a week. Now I'm going in there 4, right? Upper, lower, which seems to work for me. And I actually include, I know this is controversial, but deadlift on my lower day. You know? Just because deadlift is something I specifically want to get better at, right?
Yeah.
Just like squat and bench, barbell is something that I want to specifically get better at, just because it looks cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. But it's one of those things where you know, and now I've come to the conclusion that I'm also something people also often neglect, which is grip.
Right.
You know, everybody's so concentrated on using straps, and there's a lot of people who say use straps because it's your limiting factor, blah blah blah. Yes, it's your limiting factor, but at the same time, you know, coming from a bodybuilding physique world, you train the beach body part, you know, or you make sure that they're stronger at least. And grip is one of those things, man. When your hip flexors are fried, or I'm sorry, when your forearm flexors are fried, you get that little stinging elbow pain. You know.
Yes. Yep.
And
experience that.
And that's not due to tendonitis of the elbow. It's your forearm flexors. So if you can get a stronger grip, you can avoid that. With that being said, I still only go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm going to be adding in a 5th day, which is just going to be 10 or 20 minutes of grip work, and then I'm out really quick, and I'll remove it. That's another thing. Don't be afraid to titrate up and down your training. Just like you said about cardio, right? You don't just drop your cardio all of a sudden. Do you?
No.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I was dieting, I reduced my cardio by 5 minutes, and then by 5 minutes next week, and then 5 minutes next week. Give my body a chance to adjust. Same thing with volume. So, is what I would suggest anyway. But
yes, give your body. You see, you know, and it all comes down at the end of the day. You can have a coach and stuff, but you need to learn your body. That's where you need to communicate with the person who's helping you, or just with yourself, and know when you're doing too much, and just have, you know. I hated taking days off from the gym until I started training hard, and then I was like, thank God, you're not, like, I don't have to go today, because it was literally just, it felt like torture, and it was like, yes, I don't have to go train today, and I didn't experience that until like the last year or so. Before I was like, I can't wait to go, because I was just going to chase a pump and look good, but now I will go in there, throw the headphones on, people think I'm a dickhead because I didn't talk a whole lot. And I would just destroy myself to where when I had off days, like I would look forward to them, because my body was just like, you know, screaming "F you, buddy!" Like I need a break. And a lot of people just don't experience that, because pushing yourself to that is mentally like not normal, and it's not enjoyable. And people don't associate well with like pain. They don't enjoy that kind of stuff, you know.
And for all you young kids listening, this is kind of an important lesson too. You know, try to find what works for you. Don't read these bodybuilding magazines and things that you can go through Phil Heath's workout either.
Yeah, and that's probably maybe not even his real workout.
Probably not. I mean, let's be honest. You know, everybody, when they get like close to being stage lean, they say, okay, well, I'm going to switch to the Smith machine for this, cables for this, because I just can't, you know. Or they go to the hammer strength. Huh?
Yeah. I was going to say, I was green. I try to stay as heavy as I can with what lifts that got me there, even while dieting. Just got to be, like you said before, though, being smart of not, like, hurting something, you know. But you should try to still push yourself to stay as strong as you can, and do those lifts that got you there.
And another thing too is if you choose to compete, just like Ryan was saying, concentrate on health as well, because the things like getting your broccoli in, getting your veggies in, getting your fruit in, getting your fiber in, getting your all the good things that make your body function better can make the difference when you get to show day, can make you feel better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just like, that's why I'm glad we have something like Gaia, because you can just pop it in a shaker cup and you're good to go, right?
Yes, I use that.
One
I use
healthy.
it. Oh yeah, I used it. You know, Wayne sent me some, and I used it this off season every morning. And with eating so much, I noticed it to be very beneficial as well. Everyone thinks, oh, when I'm dieting, I'm going to do the guy, or I'm going to do a probiotic digestive enzyme. But in all reality, when you're bulking, is really when you need those foods to really
Yeah.
make sure your digestive tract is cleansed to, you know, absorb the nutrients just as much as when you're dieted down. You know, that's
And you know,
why I love some of the stuff we're coming out with.
yeah, yeah.
Is making us very well-rounded, well-versed in regards to the industry of the supplements, too.
Oh, we want to be a one-stop shop, and that's kind of
Right.
always been the goal. Whenever you
Mm-hmm.
want some coffee, you come to us. Whenever you want some protein powder, you come to us. Whenever you want a pre-workout, fat burner, nootropic, something like that, help people get through their fitness or life goals. Because, you know, I know people that aren't even into fitness that take protein powder.
Yeah,
Just
a lot of
because
people. I mean, my second
everybody,
job, I work at a supplement store, and
yeah.
just to help make ends meet on Saturdays, I work, you know, an extra 8 hours. And a lot of people, they're just average people who just, some don't even exercise, or they run, or, you know, they just take the protein to make sure they get protein in their diet. And it's also just hard to find a legitimate protein product out there that's not spiked,
Right.
and things of that regard too. And you'll know when you taste it.
Well, and that being said, I know it sounds like we're shilling right now. We're a bunch of shills, but we do have to keep the lights on. But
Yeah.
let's get on to the topic, and I'll try and wrap this up because I know your time's more valuable than mine.
No, no.
But when it comes down to nutrition, how with the If It Fits Your Macros crowd and flexible dieting crowd, I've seen more and more people just completely fill up their calories with something like donuts and Oreos, and that's just not sustainable, especially if you want
No.
a optimum looking, performing, and overall physique. It drives me crazy sometimes. It's these young kids too, like these, you know, high school students, college students, and they do it for a long time, but by the time they're 40 and they realize that they have some nutritional holes that they have to fill, you know, like, you want to take care of things before it's too late to take care of things. And
Yep.
as I get older, I'm kind of realizing that. Whereas before, yes, I had, you know, all the things that I just mentioned. I was a part of when it first came out, the If It Fits Your Macros, like, hardcore crowd, right?
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah, because it was a different. It was what it was. Is it was a different approach to something than just eating chicken and rice. But now I'm going back to chicken and rice. It's kind of bizarre. All the healthy foods like potatoes, onions, all the whole foods. You know, Jamie had the article on pungent foods recently, or semi-recently, and all the healthy things that I can cram into my diet, I usually end up doing. I mean, my breakfast is some oat cereal plus some serving of dark chocolate, chicken broth, yogurt, and a little bit of Kraken for the milk. I use it as a milk substitute for the cereal, and of course some Chaos and Pain coffee. And that's kind of the basis of my breakfast right now. That may change later, but right now, all of those things have health benefits. And if you're not including a diverse amount of nutrient-dense food in your diet, you're missing out on performance. And that's something that I hold dear right now too. So, what are your opinions on that? Like, what do you do to stay healthier? What are some of the things?
I'm sure people like, you know, if they follow my social media, like, oh, well, you were posting about, you said it before, you were eating a pint of ice cream almost every night, or this or that, and it was like, well, one, I didn't do that year round. I did that once I hit a plateau of weight gain.
Right.
But my 6 meals though, my other 6 meals during the day, it was the same shit that I prep on. I was having oatmeal for breakfast, egg whites, protein powder. I was having rice, potatoes for carbs. I would do pasta,
Right.
because that's still not bad for you. It's just, I mean, if you're eating rice, pasta, damn near the same thing. That just got to be a little bit too voluminous, so I, eventually cut that out.
Right.
And I would still do chicken, ground beef, the same foods for my 6 meals. Now, there'd be days, let's say I train, to get extra calories in to treat myself because it was off season. I will go get 4 double cheeseburgers from Burger King or something after legs or whatever to get in an extra 1,200 calories easily because I was already so full. But I believe in sticking to in the off season a pretty healthy, clean diet because it's gonna make your physique look better.
Stay leaner.
Stay leaner. Yep. Dieting will not be as hard. If you eat shit food in the off season and also then you go to diet, people are like, "Oh, I hate prep." Well, it's because you eat like shit in the off season, to where now it's torture because you're cutting out all the sugars and all the junk food you had, to where mentally you are just so fucked because you're not used to not having it. So I believe in, you can still have those foods in the off season here and there, but you should, like, your off season and your prep food should be pretty similar. It's just portion size is going to be different, and that will make your progress too more sustainable. You're not going to put on an extra 20 pounds of water and fat to where you think you're jacked. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm fucking jacked. I put on 40 pounds." 1 week into a diet, they lose 15, and they lose water. And they probably lose 12 pounds of water and 3 pounds of fat. And then they're like, "Oh, my gains weren't as good as I thought," because, the other thing too is the cleaner your food is, you can see what foods work well for your body, what reacts well in the off season for your time when you diet. But also it allows you to see your physique with staying leaner, to knowing if you're truly putting on size or not.
Real quality muscle instead of
real
bad
quality
bod.
muscle. People are like, "Well, how do you put on, how have you literally put on 8 to 10 pounds every year?" My off season, I measure weight on my food year round. For the most part, I mean, I do have, if I'm at work or if I'm out, like, I might get Qdoba one time instead of having the chicken and rice at home, but I'll get double chicken, or I'll have a cookie, or I'll have something here or there, but it's not a cheat meal every day.
Right. That's where people get in trouble.
Yeah, or the whole cheat. "Oh man, I'm fucking having a cheat day." Motherfucker, a cheat day? No, like, a day will destroy you. A meal, okay. Even the off season, but a cheat day.
Also,
you talk about
let's be
having
honest.
digestive problems and stuff.
Yeah.
Hell no, I couldn't handle a day.
Let's be honest too. Those people on social media that you see saying, "I'm having a cheat day," like, where they have pictures of themselves, and that's why you got to be careful when it comes to social media. And this is mainly towards the younger group, because I think the older group is kind of wising up to it a little bit. But for the younger people out there listening, if you do listen to this, in fact, what you see on Instagram is not real. You see somebody without those filters, and they look completely different sometimes. Hashtag no filters.
Did you?
Yeah. Or people going, these competitors, these actual professional bodybuilding competitors, right? Going to these buffets, right? Because that's the thing to do now. When you go for your cheat day, go to a buffet where you can shove as much food in as possible.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that go on there. I used to know a guy who used to do that stuff, who's very, very popular. I'm not going to mention his name, but he was very, very popular. He still is. He has over 1 million followers on Instagram. And what he used to do is he used to go to the buffets, take a picture of him scooping it in, and then throw it in trash. Because it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
I don't know if you, I didn't mean to cut you out there before, I forgot. I don't know if I posted on my Instagram story the other day, and I mean, I literally, it sounds terrible, I literally was at work taking a shit, looking at Instagram. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna post my story. You see these people, and anymore too. You post on social media. Everyone thinks you're talking about them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if I'm gonna talk about you, I'll tag you. Don't worry. But that's not me.
Right.
It was just a general statement. But you see these people who, you know, on my social media, if it's a picture, it's me, like my coach or my girlfriend took it of me hitting a side chest right now, whatever. I
Yeah.
don't do selfies really because of, you know, my student stuff see it, and that's just not my personality anymore. I do a
Right.
lot more video stuff to where you see how I really look. These people take these selfies, they're angling it, they're filtering it to where you're like, man, that guy's big. See him in person, you're like, Jesus, dude, you're small as hell. You
And
know, and it's comical.
everybody looks good in good lighting too.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just these people put up this false look, and then when you see them in person, and you're like, damn, dude, good job on your selfie game. It's strong
Yeah.
because your arms they're 13 inches, but on your Instagram they look like they're 20. You know,
Yeah.
like it's just it's funny, and I posted it on my story, and I like one or two guys messaged me. I'm like, it wasn't about you. And he's like, one guy was like, tag someone, call him out. I'm like, I'm not calling anybody out. It's a general statement of what's happening with social media. The guy does do it. He posts a lot of pictures and look at this in person. You know, he gets a perfect pump and
Yeah.
vascular. But that's not my personality. And it was a general statement because everybody has been guilty of it or does it, and it's
It's just a
killing.
gripe you have. Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's killing. I don't think it's killing bodybuilding. I think if anything, it makes people work harder. Think, oh shit, if this guy is doing the show I'm doing, he looks awesome. So you tend to work harder. Then you get there and you're like, okay, what a clown.
I think it
You
may
know?
be killing physique though.
Yes, yes,
So
I think.
because one of the problems you have with physique guys is, you know, they aren't really, and I mean, I know a lot of physique guys train legs, right?
Yeah,
But they aren't really concerned about their legs. And
not really.
they end up doing a lot of upper body work, a lot of core work, because that's what they do, right? And when it comes down to it, a lot of these physique guys are under the misconception that you must have, if you're a physique guy, you must have abs year round. You must have just these, and a lot of these guys, when you talk to them, they sound like they're on death's door because they're always staying in that dieting,
Yep.
you know, physique wise, that state, and it's just why I say it's killing physique is because the physique guys get the most hate for it. Like bodybuilders can put on a little bit of body fat, and classic physique guys can put on a little bit of body fat and not be judged so harshly. But physique,
Hmm.
those guys, they can't put on an ounce, or they're just shredded. They're just shredded in the comment section and stuff like that. It's like, come on, you know?
I mean, Jeremy Buendia gets pretty fat in the off season.
Huh?
Jeremy Buendia, the Olympian, he gets pretty fat, pretty fluffy in the off season, which
Yeah.
is probably why he keeps getting bigger.
Yeah.
And you know, he still comes in peeled. People, those who make money off their social media, or they want to give a fake presence to people, it's unfortunate, but it's out there now, you know. And they'll post a picture, and I'm like, that's not you right now. Shit, that was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
They don't post, pictures of themselves posing or whatever in a tank top when they're 30 pounds over stage weight. You know.
Oh no. They
And
don't
it's
take a
funny.
picture of them at the lake unless they're shredded either. Like they sit
Right.
there and they go to the lake and everything, and they have this rockin' dad bod, and
Yep.
then they go ghost for like 4 months because they're dieting down again. It's
Yep.
And you know, it's harmful to think like that. It's harmful, but I think it will even out. Just kids, be aware that what you see on social media when it comes to these cheap big and all that, it's not real. And if it is, they know what they're doing. That's another thing too. Is there are a bunch of competitive eaters out there that are, on the flip side, bodybuilders and physique guys as well. And just like Furious Pete and stuff. But you know why he doesn't get fat? Because he controls everything. He
Right.
controls his calories. He controls all that stuff. He knows how to do this. He's done it before. You going for a cheat meal and then going back to your bulking plan, you're just going to get fat. And people get fat in the off season all the time, just like you made that post on your Instagram, and it's holding them back, I feel, when it comes to, because if you lose over, you're already going to lose, let's be honest, a little bit of strength when you diet down, right?
Oh, no matter what you say, no matter what you take, when you get lean, like, it sucks, but yes, you are going to lose some strength. If not, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. And if you don't, you're not getting lean enough, right?
Exactly.
For a bodybuilding show.
You're not close to being stage ready.
Yeah, and everybody needs to also on social media lift this insane amount of weight, and sometimes that just doesn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you get lean, people think that these guys are lifting a lot, but if you really look at these guys who get really, really lean and they upload lifting vids, they will end up like they were doing barbell bench press one day, and then they switch to cables or hammer strength machines just because reduction of injury. Because the one thing you don't want to do is get injured in prep. The one thing, But yeah, I think we've covered that. So just to clarify, guys, make sure you get some healthy food in, right? And the last thing I wanted to kind of ask you about before we get going here, because we're coming up on, let me see here, an hour and 30 minutes, man. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
The last thing, how would you go about what's your plan for recovering better, right? Because you're really muscular, man, and you must take your food as serious as your recovery. So, what's
that's why
your food?
I mean, in regards to the recovery, I mean, this off season to be able to recover and grow, like I have a Garmin watch. I track my steps where I wouldn't get over 10,000 steps a day. Yeah. Like if I was at 9,000 as my 4 o'clock teaching, like that's wild. My kids would joke because they're like, "Oh, go just close to the steps," and I would try to just sit or stand to get off my feet. Just lay down on the floor. Yeah, I wish I could lay down, but no. And then two, like with the training, like yes, I had a set program, but if I did it for 3 weeks or 2 weeks and I just started to feel my strength was kind of stuck, energy was down, then I would take a week where I would, decrease the weight a little bit, do maybe a little more volume, focus more on like time and attention stuff for a week. Right. And then that would be almost an active recovery, and then I would hit it hard again. But I would still break muscle fiber down because I would go to that time and attention kind of training, and I would be sore as shit because I really hadn't been doing that. I've been moving heavier weight. So I was still, activating the muscle. I was still breaking it down, but it was more just giving my central nervous system a break and my joints and stuff a break. But I still was able to, break down and then eat enough and grow the muscle. And just food, just not wanting to eat and just forcing myself to eat. Yeah. Looking at food and being like, oh my God, I do not want to eat. I started just blending stuff up and drinking it.
Yeah, that's old school.
Because there was nothing else, like food didn't look good. And that's where people say, oh, you must be starving. It's like, until you eat till you feel sick, I will take being hungry any day. Because like I said earlier, that's the only way I put on size. And once again, unfortunately at KSP, we don't have a mirror replacement shake or a mask in, which I never believed in until now. But I do use the Kraken, and then I'll make my own with like oats and stuff like that. But even doing that, where I'm drinking more calories. Though. Yeah, I think I talked to Wayne about it, but I'm going to incorporate that this next time just to get even more calories in. But with that too, make sure you're not drinking too much so you can digest it properly. But just doing that, and just really food. The supplements are great. Like I said, I take like the BCAAs obviously during training, or if I do fasted cardio in the off season a little bit here, the Gaia for digestion. I still use the supplements, but I tell people, Yes, I work for CnP, but they are supplements. They are
Supplement
aids
your diet, yeah.
to supplement your diet. And like Rich Piana, rest his soul, and everyone else who's smart, who's in the industry, they preach food, not drinking 5 protein shakes a day.
Always.
Drinking 1 or 2, but you need to eat whole food. You need to chew it to properly break down and digest it. And that's one thing I really, I think definitely helped was eating whole foods, keeping it pretty clean, and forcing it down. And that aided in helping me recover at a faster rate. And like I said, too, just training less volume and just listening to my body. And I used to just force the gym. If I was sick, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm going. And my girlfriend, she's very built. She's very built. She's a natural athlete. And I'm like, man, how is this girl? She's just growing. And I'm just here tall and skinny. And she was, when we first started dating, I'm like, she was very good at, I'm not going to the gym today. I'm tired. I'm beat up. And then I started looking, I'm like, I'm going to try this. And now when I don't, if day was hectic and busy, I know when I'm going to work out and my body is shot, I just started telling myself, okay, today's my unplanned rest day. Tomorrow, I'll get after it. And just really listening to my body, making sure the food's there, but not being afraid to rest. You see all these memes. Oh, off day.
No rest
off days. No rest days. I'm like, well, then you ain't doing shit. Like, you need, I think, 4 or 5 times a week training, whether you're supplements or not. That's max. Any more than that, if you hear people say, I train 3 hours a day, bullshit. I would love your endurance then, because you're doing something that I'm not. To be able to train,
If you do as well, like if you train 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, everybody, I tell this to people all the time, every day that you do that, you're just realize that you're eventually going to have to pay the piper when it comes to things. You're going to have to pay the price. And, it is kind of a risk to rewards ratio that doesn't work out for me, because I don't know, man, bones actually need about 2 to 3 days to recover from the, maximum like 90% of your 1 rep max or whatever you want to follow, like really heavy stuff. Yeah. You need about 2 days to recover.
And people don't realize it. They think it's a muscle thing. It's like, no, you've got
it's a
joints,
total
ligaments,
body
and bones. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of these guys who do take pharmaceutical help, they don't realize that your tendons don't get bigger at the rate that your muscles do.
Exactly.
And a lot of these injuries, also another thing is that bodybuilders are doing things nowadays that get them injured outside of the gym, right?
Yes.
So they go, like, I'm a bodybuilder. You know what would be a great idea? My name is Callum Von Moger. I'm going to go rappel off a cliff.
Oh, that fucking guy.
I'm gonna do tandem curls. Like, man, I love your physique, but you need to stop doing that stuff if you want to concentrate on bodybuilding. And
he doesn't realize too, like, his physique is what makes him money. If he didn't look the way he did like Arnold, no one would give a shit. It's man, like, dude, you're ruining your moneymaker. Literally, people joke, but like for him, his body, his face, everything, that was his moneymaker because he looked like Arnold when he came over here, and everyone got a boner over him. And it's like, dude, you are destroying yourself for one extra YouTube video to get 100,000 views.
The reason I follow him, because that's the guy I keep mentioning in these podcasts, and Callum Von Moger. The reason why I follow him is that I truly did believe that he would have been the classic physique, the face of it.
Yes, I thought so too.
Or he would have been in running for Mr. O one day. Mind you, just because people like his look, by the way. But mind you, though, he had some competition, but unfortunately Dallas McCarver's passed. But rest in peace, all that jazz. God dang it. The bodybuilding world lost a legend.
He was young and something special, but I mean, even when you look at like Colin, you look at that Colin guy. I mean, still, you look at Chris Bumstead. I mean, there are still guys that they're just not as they're coming out of the woodwork. But what got with the Colin, it was because he came from Australia. He had the accent. And genetically, like, yeah, he doesn't train that hard from what he posts, but he just genetically is a very blessed individual, and he's just ruining all that. You know,
And
I
if you
just
watched Generation Iron 2, which I know most people didn't like it, but some people did, it's kind of a
yeah,
toss-up.
I thought it was like it's a coin toss for me too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
But
always hard to match a first movie.
well, he
You
did
know,
say in that movie, though, that he, didn't really take his diet seriously either. And,
no, yeah,
I mean, that may have been show or whatever, but uh, maybe my advice for him would be try and keep it a little bit more, because it's one of those things where you, just like you said, food is so important. People underestimate the amount of effect that food has on your physique and food has on your performance, to the point where it's almost unbelievable to me. So,
yeah. People
another
don't
thing,
ask that. What are you taking? What's your workout? It's like, what am I eating?
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and you always get this question when you go into a gym, like, how many protein shakes you take?
Yeah, what
You
kind of
know?
protein you take, bro? I'm like, oh my god,
Uh,
here we go,
yeah,
all the
but
time.
with that being said, guys, I think this was a very, very good interview, and I would like to thank Ryan for joining us. And just to give you guys something to think about while you're in the gym or eating or whatever, take your recovery as serious as your food and training too. I know you said you went to chiropractic.
Yeah, I mean,
Ago.
I believe in like the deep tissue, and I've become a firm believer in that.
Yeah,
Massage, the scraping. I think
yeah.
it's costly. It's not cheap.
Well,
But I
something
really
that's
think it's
free that people can do is sauna.
yes,
It really does make a difference, and I linked in our Path to Recovery episode of the Hatecast. I did link some scientific literature on sauna. It is one of those things where there's a bunch of cool things about it. Long story short, anything that heats your body up externally, right, not internally, externally,
right.
has healing effects on
Huh.
basically everything. Same thing with cold therapy, although I wouldn't put that too close to training. I'm not really quite sold on.
Yeah, that's
It
some
does
you.
does
That's
some
post
weird things.
workout,
Yeah,
like post training. Even maybe like wait still like an hour or two, so you don't
yeah.
cramp up. But that's something you would do, like an ice bath, whatever, post legs or something like that. Not nowhere near training time, or even if you train that muscle the next day. I
Well,
would stay away from that.
there's some information now coming out too that it when it comes to specifically cryotherapy, like the really, really cold stuff, uh,
Hmm.
interferes with inflammation in a way not similar to NSAIDs, but it interferes with it in a way that would be not beneficial towards bodybuilding. Although I will try and find the reference. I believe it was in a journal. I'll have to find it again, but it's enough reason for me to kind of stay away from cold stuff. Although, if you
Yeah.
want to do it on, like, let's just say you take the weekends off, right? So
Right.
on Sunday, I think it would be good, to do
Yeah.
like a cold shower or something. But
Yeah.
I don't,
Also helps with
I
burning
can't,
body fat, and
yeah,
there's science behind that too. And
yeah. Well, I can't handle the cold anyway. I'm like a snake, especially when you're low body
yeah.
fat. you know,
Yes.
it's
Yeah. I feel
everything's
kind of
cold.
chilled all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, brother, I appreciate you joining us for this one. This was a hell
Oh
of a
yes.
listen
Thank
for
you.
you guys. And we will, of course, see you later if I can have you back on, possibly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Peace.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. That is good. That is good.
Power pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge.
no grasp of what they do. Have no grasp of what they do. People have no grasp of what they do.